Jörg, thank you very much for taking
Mhm.
your time to talk about circular economy and recycling
Mhm.
in terms of high voltage batteries
Yes.
at BMW. I'm really curious on what you're going to tell me. But first off, I would like to understand, how did you enter the field of batteries?
So, thinking about my professional career, I actually have been engaged in automotive industry and especially drivetrain my whole working life. Yeah, I started working in China for an automotive supplier. Later switched to BMW, and I've been in touch with drivetrain technology from various points. Yeah, engineering, purchasing, corporate strategy, and now from recycling.
Hmm. Okay. And talking about your role at BMW now, what are you working on specifically?
Um, the, the holistic target picture
Hmm.
is both. One, to keep materials and components as long as possible in the cycle,
Hmm.
because this avoids the production of new components. And if this is not possible, then we are talking about the actual recycling. And recycling can be for almost any material. Of course, we focus because of the increasing volume and the high value of the raw materials on high voltage battery recycling
Hmm.
to gain lithium, cobalt, and so on.
Yeah.
But we do the same for aluminum, steel, and plastics because those materials, this is what makes up a vehicle.
Hmm. Okay. And you're not doing that alone, right?
Of
In the ecosystem that you built, to also get the volume in and
Mhm.
to do it now, because I think we
Yeah,
are we are right in the midst of ramping up e-mobility also in Europe. Even
yeah.
though in Germany sometimes the discussion was a little bit, but I see a clear and strong signals from BMW to push in that direction with the iX3, for example. So maybe you can also explain a little bit on how you set up your ecosystem at BMW in order to be able to deliver this recycling
Mm.
competence.
So BMW is of course very electric, it's very digital, but it's also very circular. And
Hmm.
you're totally right. No one can achieve the targets of a circular economy alone, neither within the company,
Hmm.
because this is a very cross-functional task, because you need to collaborate between purchasing, between engineering, production, and also after sales. Yeah? So it's very cross-functional. But even without or outside of the company, no one can transform the industry alone. So you need a very strong network to enable all the processes.
Hmm.
And luckily, as BMW, we are engaged in very strong networks. From technology scouting, we are working together with universities, we are working together with startups, with Circular Republic, and so on. Yeah, where
Yeah.
we have access to new technologies, new trends, where we jointly cooperate on, where we jointly try to push technology, let's say, to the next level.
Hmm.
And after that, it's also our task to bring those technologies, let's say, to life and scale them, because at the end, it's our obligation to not only do funky or nice technology development, but also bring it to the market. Yeah,
Hmm.
and in talking about high voltage battery recycling, this means we need scaled recycling facilities. We need scaled. Um, um, we need scaled access because we want to recycle the volume in the market,
Yeah.
like end of life batteries. We want to recycle our prototype scrap. We want to recycle our production scrap, and so on.
Hmm. So in concrete terms and also in terms of timing, so how are you now able to do this? You just gave a presentation here at the Future Battery Forum, together with your partner SKTS,
Mhm.
right? How does this work out now? Can you explain the milestones that you're now passing through in order to bring this to scale?
Mhm. So at the beginning, we have been scouting the market. Who is, let's say, the best partner for BMW?
Hmm.
Who has the right technology available? Who has the right footprint available? And who wants to go? And this is a very important point. Who wants to design or develop this story together with us? Um, with SKTS, we have the possibility, or we have a partner to define the processes jointly.
Mm-hmm.
That means we have, for example, an open book policy. We jointly work on the improvement of processes because it's in both our interest to gain the most lithium, the most cobalt, and so on outside of a battery cell possible.
Mm-hmm.
By increasing the efficiency, you improve the business case.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, you also enable the scaling within Europe. Right now, we are, of course, the sales of all electric vehicles is increasing, and it's increasing a lot. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but luckily, those vehicles, they are still driving on the road, making one of our customers happy. And usually, right now, our vehicles, they live above or a bit over 22 years in Europe. And only
Wow.
after that, they are being recycled. That means end-of-life vehicles, talking about battery electric
Like,
vehicles.
let me just
Yeah,
go back to that. The average BMW is 22 years on the road.
yes,
The average.
yes,
Wow.
in Europe.
Wow. That means that there are, and of course you see that, but there are quite some old timers already, right, on the street, like
Exactly.
continuous. Wow.
But
Okay.
and this is also one of the challenges because we sell the vehicles to the first owner.
Mm.
Then the used car is being sold to the second owner, to the third
Yeah. Sure.
owner, and so on. Yeah,
Yeah.
that means we do not have access legally to those vehicles because they do not belong to BMW. So we need to have access to the last owner in order to get access, in this case, for high voltage batteries.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted what I wanted to bring up is right now electric vehicles are scaling.
Mm-hmm.
So new car sales is being pushed, but the access for batteries to being recycled is rather prototype material, production scrap, and so on. Because
Mm.
luckily, our batteries, they behave very well in the market, and they're still driving in a vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the moment, this is production scrap and
Yes,
prototyping material, but in a delay, like a couple of years, like
yes,
the
22
maybe
years.
22 years. Well, it's also interesting because we already see that batteries last longer than you expect, like especially for
Yes,
LFP chemistry per se, but also good made and NMC chemistries and high nickel ones. They are also projected to last much longer than we anticipate. Like those 8-year warranties are
yes.
well exceeded likely. So the question is when this wave comes on the recycling. Can you project that from your business case perspective? Because one very important thing that you also noted in our previous discussion, but also during your talk, it's a business case,
Hmm.
right? It's not something you just do out of virtue,
Hmm.
but recycling in Europe of high voltage battery material or batteries is a business case.
Exactly.
So can you explain that? Because you said it's already now a business case, correct?
The, exactly. And the business case, of course, there's an interlinkage to the volume.
Mm-hmm.
But even with the comparable low volume, we managed to have a positive business case, and this is possible due to the efficiency of the processes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is working. And now what we are doing also with our partner here in Europe, but we are also doing something similar in other geo regions such as the US or China. Um, we we are also collecting old batteries, not only from BMW plants. We also start connecting all our dealers in the different countries. So we
Okay.
also collect BMW batteries from all dealers in Germany, from France, and so
Mm-hmm.
on. And we will extend it to every country in Europe.
Okay. Wow. The recycling will then happen mainly in Europe for the European market, or also shipping material over to Korea or other
This is depending
regions.
on the process step.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the scrapping where the result is the so-called black mass. This is happening in Europe at Rotterdam. And then we have right now, because the chemical processes, you don't find them
True.
in a scaled
Mm-hmm.
volume in Europe. So right now, this is happening in Asia. But of course, we discuss with our partners that we localize the hydromet, the chemical processes
Mm.
in Europe, in the US, and so on.
Okay. So can you project a year when this will happen roughly?
we wish for yesterday,
Mhm,
but it's rather likely in the next years. So this is really depending how the volume is scaling, and
mhm.
also
Yeah,
what
also
is
the
the
market demand needs to pick up soon because
exactly.
yeah.
So talking about the investment for Hydromet, this is factor 10 to 20 to the scrapping processes. Yeah, so
Mhm,
the investment is much higher, and this is only feasible in talking about a business case when you have enough material in your hand,
mhm,
and that's why we try to also, let's say, enable the industry and not only BMW alone, because our volume wouldn't be big enough to utilize one site.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, and I mean that is also what the battery expedition is for, to kind of spur the market uptake, to get the European EV and battery ecosystem going, and to allow you to build those plants soon in Europe. What is the key three questions of the campaign that I ask every participant? From your professional perspective and your work, the challenge that is holding this endeavor back at the moment, where would you say, like, this is why we don't have the full recycling capabilities built here in Europe yet?
In my opinion, when we analyze what certain suppliers are doing, how technology is being developed, but also how regulatory is evolving,
Mm-hmm.
we see that too many out of those partners or whatever, they focus on a single step. They focus on optimizing a single step in the value chain. And as I said, you need to think about the value chain from the production of a new component via recycling back to production.
Mm-hmm.
So you always need to consider the whole value chain, and you need to optimize the whole value chain and not a single step out of the value chain. And this is where we see still room for improvement.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But then also looking at this positively, I mean, yeah, we need to convince those
Hmm.
stakeholders, and also in Brussels, also in Berlin, I guess,
Hmm.
right? Um, but assuming that we can do that, on the positive end,
Hmm.
leveraging the potential, what potential can we build on in Europe? Why is BMW in Europe and also keen on innovating here further?
Of course, Europe is a very important market to us, yeah, and
Mm.
and in Europe, we have a very strong footprint. We have our development facilities here. We have many production facilities and so on. And I think Europe is has very strong capabilities if it comes to industry. Yeah? And this one we need to further develop, and we need to maybe concentrate back on those strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have a very strong network, especially if you think about the development of new technologies. We have already proven in cooperation with other universities that we can recycle 90 to 95% of a whole battery. So not only the cell, but also including the upper, lower housing, all the wire harnesses inside. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 90 to 95% is recyclable,
Yeah.
and I think this is a major achievement. And now we need, as I said, strong support from anyone, strong support from the whole network,
Mm.
to really scale this technology. Because at the end, we want to recycle not only prototypes, we
Mm-hmm.
want to recycle and keep the material
To
within
run it in a closed loop.
exactly to have it run in the closed loop, also from end of life batteries,
Mm-hmm.
and then the volume will increase a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because Europe is an ecosystem, and that our business models also represent this ecosystem idea, right? I think we have to go there on full scale, as you
Yeah.
also said, but this is a vision I'm striving
Hmm.
towards, and that brings me to the final
Hmm.
question. If you would have one advice to all industry stakeholders, but also politicians or investors out there that can pull the levers, right? What advice would you give?
In my opinion, um, sustainability, and this includes circularity because it's part of sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
always have to go hand in hand with profitability. If you achieve that secondary raw material is cheaper than virgin material, then it's not a question of regulation.
Yeah.
because it's actually benefiting to the company result, and then you will recycle as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So think in new business models, and let's make that happen. Recycled materials must be cheaper than virgin materials.
Okay, Jörg. Thank you very much. I think that's a very good statement. And as I said, a vision to look towards. So I'm also looking forward to meet you in Munich at some point. And yeah, thank you for this conversation.
Thanks a lot, and then see you maybe at our recycling and dismantling center.
We'll do so.